All right, welcome everyone to the Inevitable You channel podcast. Here with my friend Dan Jimenez again, fellow coach. And for today's content, I was prepping for a client that I'm seeing actually tomorrow now, but he's gone through one session already, and so he's new into this. He's coming from real estate investing uh, background, but is fairly new to it. And so this is kind of a shift, a big life kind of shift from what he's always done. He's owned previous businesses before in network marketing, had a lot of success with that. And now he's just getting started into this strictly investing. And I think if I remember right, he was had his realtor license as well, or his wife, or he was connected in real estate somehow, but essentially a brand new kind of environment for him. And he's having a tough time after the first session. It's almost kind of like a one step backwards kind of thing. And one of the main challenges that he's expressing is like a struggle to find the new thought pattern or the new belief that's going to drive him forward. And it's this belief around being able to make it in real estate investing and having the confidence that he's going to have success. And he's saying that this old story is now popping up constantly, which was essentially brought up in our first session, that there was all this kind of family of origin, old messages from, parents that, you need to work really hard. And essentially it kind of boiled down to this core belief that he doesn't have what it takes. And he also has the story that a lot of his life was a factor of luck. He's just a really lucky guy, and that things just kind of worked out for him. He made it through school and had success in business, but didn't really have to try that hard. And he's been pretty blessed in his life, but it's running up against this old belief that he doesn't have what it takes, that he can't do it, and he's just really lacking the confidence. So wanted to just address that and maybe provide some tools for how do you get around that, and how do you believe in yourself. How do you have confidence in yourself when you don't have the experience, and how do you believe when you don't believe, kind of thing. So I think that kind of accurately captures it. Is that kind of what you picked up in what I sent you?
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, you gave me a little bit more background that answered some questions I had, so I appreciate that. Just the fact that it is a career change, it's not just hey, I'm doing something a little bit different along the same lines, or I've been doing this for a while, now I'm trying to level up. It's like, hey, I had this old life, and now I'm creating this new life around this new career. And yeah, I mean, that's something I've dealt with a lot personally, and then with a lot of the people I work with too. So it's one of my favorite topics.
Cool. So let's see, where do we start with this? First point I want to make is that this is not uncommon, that after a first session, things can get stirred up, and maybe things that were primarily in the unconscious have now been brought to light, been brought to the forefront. And that's like, I can't get this song out of my head. I can't stop thinking about this, old thing, this old belief, this old thought pattern. And so it's more prevalent, and there's more awareness around it. And I think one of the main reasons why that continues to run and is, haven't arrived at yet the pattern interrupt or the new thought pattern that's going to override that, right? So like the only way you get a song out of your head when you're like, I can't get the song out of my head, you just play a new song at its very basic level, right? That's like NLP, neural programming 101. But it can't be fake, right? It can't just be a fake it, make it thing. You can't just say a new thought and if it doesn't have any weight, if it doesn't mean anything, if there's no emotion behind it, especially if you don't believe it, it's not going to interrupt that old pattern. So that's kind of the first thing I noticed. And have you experienced that before? Have you seen that in others?
Yeah, I mean, just to speak to the first point that you made, anyone who's starting a journey down, whether it's therapy or counseling or coaching or, self-development, trying to do the solo route, I like the metaphor of cleaning out a closet.
Hmm.
So, in order to clean out a closet, right, you have this overstuffed closet, you don't know what's in it, you're constantly searching for stuff, things are falling out of it. The first thing you need to do is take everything out of the closet,
Uh,
right? So now you're in this room and all of the contents of that closet are just kind of out in a giant mess for you to deal with. And so, yeah, often the first session or two is just like, all right, what else you got in the closet? Like, pull that out, pull this out. Oh, there's a shelf back here. Oh, there's a box. Like, let's empty that back. Let's open up this one, and you can often feel like you've taken a step or two or 10 in the wrong direction after like an initial one.
yeah,
And this is where those old belief patterns can come up of like, oh, this is too much. It's overwhelming. I shouldn't have done this. And a lot of that triggers those old songs. And it usually triggers a lot of the old failure songs.
hmm,
Because, one thing that I wanted to highlight as you're talking about this old programming, there's also a lot of good old programming that he has to have gotten him so far in life. And
exactly.
I'm lucky and things are great. But when you start talking with a professional, typically, or you start digging into the mess, the garbage,
Yeah,
the ickiness, the hidden stuff, it, it triggers all that, you know, um, trauma and pain and things, but it triggers those old songs that are not helpful, and it kind of turns down the songs that are that were helping you.
right.
So you seem very inflamed in those moments.
Well, we even think of the story around it's all luck. I'm just lucky. Like, is that very empowering?
No, not absolutely not.
Because there's no credit. It's like, I didn't have anything to do with it. It just, the universe just blessed me with all this great stuff. Well, no, I mean, yes, on one hand, you can say there's a factor of luck at times, but the bigger point or the bigger thing to acknowledge is what you actually did to accomplish those great things. Because it's not just luck. I mean, if it was just luck, like, I mean, would Elon Musk say he's lucky, or pick any super successful person? No, they work hard. There's certain skills and abilities and attributes that empower and help someone have success in certain settings. So I think that's the first step, is acknowledging.
And not to completely, yeah, take luck out of it, but the
Yeah,
way he speaks of luck is disempowering. It's a,
correct.
I don't have power behind this. But there's also a lot of people who really embrace the concept of luck as like, I am so lucky. My life always is working out for me. Like, oh man, everywhere I go, luck is in my favor.
Right.
And you can, but there's the difference in that is it's a very powerful,
Yeah.
you know, view of luck. It's like that song that they're playing is not just am I lucky, I'm the one who attracts the luck, right? It is I have a part in this process
Yeah. Well, what's the
versus,
old saying? Luck is just preparation and timing,
yeah, like when opportunity and
right?
preparation meet.
Yeah. So it can be an and equation, meaning it's not I'm lucky, but I don't have what it takes. No, it's I am lucky and I'm a rock star. I have what it takes. I have all these skills. I have all these things that I've been able to use to create success before. Why wouldn't that help me in this new venture?
Right.
So that's a big part, and reframing kind of the old story, at least for this individual, starting to look at, we talk so much about stories, these kind of stories that play over and over again in our heads. You have to really look at that and start to question it. Well, is this true? Is this just something that was, I created over time, and or was installed and instilled in me from, my father or whoever? You really have to look at that. Now, the next point was, so there's this belief again that they can't do it. And I don't know if you picked up on this, but it felt like a lot of it was based on evidence or is based on results that, oh, I haven't seen success yet, or I keep getting turned down, or I'm having these failures. Therefore, that must mean, right, that I am a failure. I can't do this. Did you see
Yeah.
that on the
Yeah. I mean, not, it doesn't seem like it's a long enough timeline of, hey, I just tried this new thing. The point that or the take I looked at it was from a standpoint of, you're not recognizing that you just did a career change and you're in a completely new field, completely new environment. And, to your point of not seeing results quickly, right? It's like, give yourself some credit. Like, yeah, there's a reason you're not seeing results quickly. And that's probably what's bringing up the old feelings of, failure and, I can't do this. I'm not cut out for this.
right?
You know, if you're not good the first day of Little League and you give up, right? Like, that's a pathway you can take. But
Yeah,
there are some kids that are good the first day of Little League, and
yeah,
then maybe they don't even get better from there. And
yeah,
that's it. But having that, you know, make you go down the path of like, oh, I'm a failure, I'm this, I'm that. Um, I mean, that basically turns off your potential to grow in that area if you've already determined yourself as a failure in this new area.
right. And this is another common thing that I'll see, especially like even when clients take off like rocket ships out of the first session and they start to they're like they're taking all of these massive changes, that whether it's they're going to quit a job or leave a relationship or do something with their health, like anytime you do something new, by law you're going to fail, meaning you're going to have some challenges at first. It's new, you're out of your comfort zone, it's different, you're not used to it. And if you're not seeing results and the equation is no results or lack of results equals my inability, I can't do this, it's just going to perpetuate that kind of vicious cycle. But it's a common thing, again, part of this, like the going gets a little bit tough before it gets really good. And I'll use a golf metaphor because this particular person really likes golf. It's like when you change something in your swing, like you could be hitting it great, but it's not quite there. Maybe there's just something you want to change about the swing. So maybe you like change your grip a little bit on the club. Immediately you like start shanking it. Like you start, it's weird. It's not that muscle memory until you build that new thing, which is good, which is going to improve your ball striking and improve the result of the shot. You have to get used to it. You have to build that repetition. You have to experience those failed shots
Yeah,
wired in.
it reminds me of a few metaphors, from Olympic weightlifting, which is a big part of my background, but also soccer, youth soccer. I see it. My kids are playing soccer right now, and they've learned that if they toe the ball, if they kick it with their toes, it'll go really far, right? But they have zero control over what direction the ball goes. It's
Right.
just, it's going to fly off, but it's going to fly off with a lot of power. And then we say, hey, let's get used to kicking it with the inside of our foot.
Uh-huh.
That's what happens. The ball goes a third of the distance, but they have way more control in which direction it's going. So much
Right.
like the golf swing, you make that change, you see a decrease in result, and you're like, whoa, 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 no, I was way better if I was just towing the ball.
Yeah.
Like, that's it takes a bit of humility and trust in the process that, no, please, like this,
Yeah.
Failure's good for you right now. Like,
Especially if you're talking to an instructor or a coach that says this one change is going to add 10 yards to your ball flight, or going to make it way straighter than you usually hit it, right? Like, just trust me. I've so take the professional's word for it, but also you have to acknowledge that, yeah, I mean, failure is part of the process. And so part of this too is reframing the lack of results. So we know, there's quotes out there: failure is not the opposite of success, it's integral to. Or, Michael Jordan, I've missed thousands of shots, I've missed hundreds of free throws, I've missed dozens of game winners. It's because of those that I became the greatest basketball player ever, right? Like, we know that failure's a part of the process, and there's lessons to it. That's the only way we grow. You don't grow when it's all easy, when you're just coasting and everything's good. You grow when you're challenged, right? So I think, for this person, and again, a very common thing, just reframing the lack of results is huge. And did you add anything to that? I have another tool that's useful here as well.
yeah, no, I'd like to hear the other
Okay.
tool. Got some ideas.
So the other thing is like, so a classic tool, rock star versus album sales. So how does a rock star become a rock star? Do they, practice away, they're practicing in their garage, they get a break and, get a show down at Herman's Hideaway, a little, dive bar here in town, and they get lucky that the producer's in the audience that night and he really likes the music. He's like, hey, I love it. I'm going to invite you down to the studio. Let's record a little EP. And, so you get that recorded. One of your songs makes it on the radio, it goes viral. And then, whatever days, weeks, months down the road, sell a bunch of albums, and the producer calls and says, hey, congratulations. Your album just went platinum. You're officially a rock star. Congratulations. Is that how it works? Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's all internal, right? Like
Uh-huh.
the philosopher in me would be like, at what point do you become a rock star,
Uh-huh.
right? Is it 7 shows? Is it 15 shows? Is it touring with a band? Is it headlining? Is it how many people in the audience? How many sales you've made, right? Like these are all obviously they're all external validating circumstances that are,
Correct.
not in your direct control. And having such, it's funny, it's objective if you were to say my record goes platinum. Okay, that's very objective and measurable. Platinum equals X number, X dollars of album sales
Right.
equals platinum record. However, what people miss with this whole objectivity is the fact that that metric is a subjective metric,
Right.
right? It's
Right.
like, oh, a bunch of people agree that at this point you become a rock star.
Yeah.
Truthfully, right? Like as we know with this tool, it's like, no, the rock star is being the rock star. A rock star plays music because they love playing music. They perform because they
Yes.
love performing. Like they're being the rock star first.
They have passion for their song. It's
They
not
have
about how many, because they could be on 16th Street Mall just collecting nickels and dimes in their hat, and they're a rock star in that moment because they just love doing that. Now, there is a caveat to the tool, like, okay, well, eventually you do need to sell albums, but the problem with the way that it was outlined is that it took the producer calling and say, hey, congratulations, you sold this amount of albums, therefore you are the rock star. It's based on the result, not the being of it, not the action of it, the passion of the song. Because the second that you get done celebrating, right, oh shit, they're going to want a second hit album. I don't know. And do I have what it takes? I'm not sure. Rock
it's
stars don't have that going on in their psychology.
it's one of these things that this tool is the one I was going to bring up was this Rockstar album sales,
Yeah.
and I have a slightly different approach on it,
Yeah.
or a different filter I view the Rockstar album sales, and
Yeah.
I feel it's like multiple tools in one. but it's this concept of be, do, have. So if you're not familiar, I know you are, Brian, but being, then doing, then having is kind of the order that the universe is set up in. So, like, you be the thing, and in being the thing, you take the actions you do in alignment with the way of being. And then in taking those actions, you have the result. But how we've set ourselves up, especially if you're coming from, society in general, but like your upbringing, your family of origin stuff, all of your programming that most people have been imbued with,
Mhm.
do, have, be. You need to do the thing, right? Keep doing the thing, do the thing, you do the work, you work hard, you do it, then you'll have the result. And then once you have the result, you will be the thing. So
Right,
like in this case of Rockstar album sales, oh no, you need to write the songs, play the songs, have the shows, sell your shows, like keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. I know it sucks. I know you don't like doing it, but just keep doing it, just keep doing it, just keep grinding, keep
right,
hustling. And then you're going to have the sales, and the sales are going to have the accolades, and the accolades are going to sell out more things, and then oh, you'll have it, and now oh, you're a rock star. But that's never that never leads to fulfillment long term,
right,
right?
right.
Like you said, you have that moment, and then 2 days later, you're like, oh crap, now I got to write another. I got to go back to doing more so that I can do the thing.
Yeah,
Versus when you swap this equation around, no, be the rock star. If you step into an identity of the rock star, if you step into a way of being where I'm a rock star, right? I'm gonna go pick up my guitar right now. I'm gonna start playing because it's fun, because that's what rock stars enjoy doing. And it's like I'm gonna play in front of people. I'm gonna share my music. I'm gonna record my music because it's fun. It's like that's just who I'm being. And then
and the results don't necessarily even matter. I mean, they don't matter at that point. You're just doing it out of pure enjoyment and passion.
absolutely.
So love it. I love that refinement of it. And so back to this individual, taking the focus off of the results or reframing it. One, that it's not, doesn't mean you're a failure because you're not getting the results yet, but what does a rock star investor look like? Do you love the art of making a deal? Do you love connecting with people? Are you doing it to serve specific communities? Are you, why do you want to do this? And what does that look like? What makes you a rock star? You can even go back to the earlier point. What do you currently have? You have luck, you have drive, you have, you know, you're authentic, you connect well with others, you build rapport,
Yeah.
that's what confidence is. Confidence isn't about the result, it's who you're showing up as, knowing who you are and knowing what the guy that's gonna produce the result is, right? Like it's not based on the result. Confidence isn't about evidence. So Rockstar album sales, another way to say beliefs versus evidence. So many people get caught in that trap that I need the evidence first before I can believe. But where does that ever exist? That virtually never happens. Like, think about just why do so many people in the world believe in a God? Do you have, I mean, is there hardcore evidence? I mean, no, you believe and you'll find evidence. So see, that's God. No, and that's a miracle. That's God. And like it supports an already existing belief system. It's not, and then if anything presented that goes against it, you'll, oh no, I just diminish it, discard it, anomaly. Like it doesn't fit our belief system.
Yeah. And, you know, like we've talked about in previous discussions, especially about law of attraction and those types of areas, when you're dealing with setting a focus or an intention, right? Your brain has the reticular activating system. It's the list of things that are important to it.
Uh,
Well, you can find evidence of whatever you want to find evidence for. So right now, if you're looking at how this individual's looking, like collecting evidence, look at all the ways it hasn't worked out for me.
Right.
and he's going to keep finding more of that, which is going to lead to more evidence of not being good at what he's doing. Versus you can look at the same situation, be like, wow, this is pretty awesome. I've been doing all of these different businesses for the last 30 years of my life, and I've been successful at all of them. That's awesome. Oh, and this was different than this business. And actually, the major that I studied in college had nothing to do with the first business that but I was good at that major. I got the degree, I got good grades, and then I started this business that was completely different. And I started another business that was slightly different, but it wasn't the same, and I still got good results. Oh wow, there's a lot of things that I do in my life, and in each one of those, luck was with me. And it's like now you're going to start seeing evidence of, huh, that's pretty crazy. I've only been doing real estate for, 6 months or a year, and I've already, had 15 offers in.
Yeah.
Most people who start out have only had 10 offers in. I'm
Yeah.
already,
Or zero.
ahead of the game. Yeah, exactly. And
Like
it's like,
most
oh,
people wouldn't even get to that. They'd sabotage. They wouldn't even get to the point to have a failed deal.
totally. And so this is like, it's, you can, if you want the evidence, right? Because I understand like faith is a tough thing. And to your point, yes, you need to have the faith and then the evidence comes later. But in the short term, if you really want to look for, like, you can also tune yourself to the evidence that you're looking for to support the way you want to be.
Absolutely. Yep. Well said. Well, I think that was the main points I wanted to hit on. Just looking through real quick, you know, again, how do you create confidence, or how do you believe when you don't believe? I mean, you have to reframe some of these things. Again, even just like a failed or a deal that fell through, like, great, here's why it fell through. It wasn't the right offer, or my maybe my approach wasn't good enough, or I didn't have the right support system built yet, so now I'm going to build the support system, or whatever the lesson, the takeaway is. Like, that's where you can take failures and not have it be, I'm a failure, but I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm the rock star investor. And by God, that was the other point I wanted to make. Like, when you just want something so bad, and it goes like this inner 4-year-old that's in all of us, that we just want, and nothing is going to stop me because I just want, and I want, and I'm this is what I'm doing. I'm the rock star investor. It's happening, and I love it. Then you bring passion. This is what I love about it, and this is why I'm choosing this as my, like, it all collectively drives forward until the album sale does happen, and it's like, oh, look at that, the evidence supported my belief system. So hopefully there's some great tools and value in there for everyone watching. Anything else you'd add to that, Dan?
Yeah. The other thing I would say is if you can fall in love with the process, which is I know so cliche, it's about the journey, not the result. Like, this can be a very long conversation.
Maybe it can
But
be our next episode.
yeah, but I'm a big believer in aligning with identity, right? And this guy obviously has a lot of positive identity that he's not aligning with in this current venture.
Right.
It would really it would really behoove him to reconnect with the successful, confident person, leader, businessman that he knows he is. He knows he is, right? He has all the proof, he has all the evidence. If he connects with that and sees himself in this new environment, you know, he's already coming with this years of experience. He'll see these failures, in the way that you're saying, like, it's reframing it, but like the confident businessman, like, I'll just use for me, for example, I was in the military as a leader for 10 years, and I was very by the end of that 10 years, I was very confident in what I was doing most of the time. Um, then I get into this new uh, realm of business that I don't know what I'm doing when I started the gym 10 years ago. And when I was approaching it as a new gym owner who's never run a business and I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm listening to coaches and I'm failing and I'm trying things and I'm like, man, I suck. When I'd reconnect with like, hey, dude, you realize you were just in charge of like 700 people and deployed to war zones multiple times with like really positive results, and people followed you in these really intense situations, and now you're sitting here upset about someone canceling their membership. Like,
Yeah.
that's like, when I'd reconnect with like, oh no, I know what I'm doing. Oh, someone canceled their membership. It went from an emotional, man, I'm such a failure, to like, oh, hey, I thank you so much for being a part of our business for as long as you have. What kind of feedback? How could we do better?
Right.
If
Right.
I knew in the military, that's what I would do. You have a troop leave the unit, or you put out a unit climate assessment survey, and you figure out it's a data point. It's
Yeah.
not mentioning failure. It's like, all right, obstacle, how do we fix it? But for me, it was reconnecting with who I was, and that identity of like, oh no, I got this.
Yeah.
Now let's just apply it to this new situation.
Yeah.
Not sitting in the identity of I'm a new business owner. I
Yeah.
identify as new business owner who doesn't know what he's doing. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? That's the results I receive.
Right. Love it. I think that's a great example, a great personal story of how this relates to this conversation. So um, appreciate you as always.
You
Looking
too,
forward to
man.
the next one.
Yeah, love these conversations.
All right. Thanks everyone for watching or listening. Take care.